What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Talking Jets with Tigo, and today we're going to be doing a video about some of the coaches on the New York Jets staff that might be on the hot seat. But before we hop into today's video, guys, if you haven't hit the subscribe button, what are you doing? Please help the channel grow. I would greatly appreciate it. We are marching our way to 2,000 subscribers, and I would love to be able to hit the 2,000 subscriber mark before the bye week. Would just be an awesome milestone to be able to build up this channel this quickly, and I appreciate everybody who hangs out, comments, likes videos, and is already a subscriber. But if you are already a subscriber, go and share with all of your New York Jets friends and everything like that we've got a pretty cool channel here at Talking Jets with Tigo where they can get some New York Jets content. But let's hop into today's video. Last week, there was a lot of conversation about the coordinators, right? Mike LaFleur, Jeff Ulbrich, Robert Saleh, and all of these guys, and how they're not coaching the team well and they're not doing things. And I disagreed, right? I thought Jeff Ulbrich was coaching up a relatively good defense. Every measurable statistic, he was middle of the pack going into week 4. And then in week 4, he puts up that defense, which performed really well. Mike LaFleur had Joe Flacco under center. So for me, everything he did was a mulligan weeks 1 through 3. And Robert Saleh is only 20 games in to an NFL head coaching career. I thought it was way too early to make an assessment on any of these guys, especially at such an important position like coordinator where you're juggling so many different things. So we're not talking about any of those guys. We're not even talking about the special teams coordinator in Brant Boyer. We're talking about 3 of the position coaches that I think should be on the hot seat. These are guys that the New York Jets have signed to be coaches on their team, and they're just underperforming, and their units are underperforming. And I want to ask questions, and I want to talk about why, because these guys have years and years, and some of them over a decade of experience at their position. And while last year we gave them a pass for some of these things, this year I'm not going to. This defense is built better, has better players, and if you're not performing, I'm going to call you out on it. Let's hop right into today's video. The first one is going to be the safeties coach, Marquand Manuel. He has 10 years of coaching experience and was a defensive coordinator. Back in 2017 and 2018, he was the defensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. And even though last year he had to play 10 different safeties all throughout the season last year, which is absolutely crazy. This year, not only did we keep and bring back his guy in LaMarcus Joyner, we went out and signed a shiny new free agent in Jordan Whitehead. What's the excuse for the poor performance that we're seeing from the safeties this year? I am not going to forgive you and say, you know what, you're doing your job well, just because the safeties had one great game against Pittsburgh. That doesn't excuse the absolute abysmal play in weeks 1, 2, and 3 against really good competition. Why is it that LaMarcus Joyner didn't get punished in weeks 1, 2, or 3 and didn't get benched? Why are these players not playing up to the level we know that they can play at, that we've seen them play at? What are you doing, Marquand Manuel, that's not doing it? And as a former defensive coordinator, you have to know about holding your players accountable, and it doesn't seem like you're doing that in the safety room. We saw what LaMarcus Joyner can do and how he can shine against the Pittsburgh Steelers game. We've seen an entire career from Jordan Whitehead in Tampa and what he can do when he's being coached up well. What are you doing that you're not being able to get these players to play effectively in a consistent basis? Marquand Manuel, your seat is starting to get hot. Next coach for me, and this one surprised me with how his unit is playing, and that is Mike Rutenberg, linebackers coach for the New York Jets. Mike Rutenberg, has 13 years of experience. Most of that experience is as a linebackers coach and everything like that. But the thing that is absolutely surprising me is that last year, Mike Rutenberg seemed to be the all-star of the defensive coaching staff. Everybody was talking about that if Jeff Ulbrich was to get fired at the end of the season, the guy who should take up the helm of the defense was Mike Rutenberg. And we saw what that might look like at the Senior Bowl, where he was the de facto defensive coordinator for the New York Jets. But should he be the next guy in line? I don't know. Last year, he outperformed every expectation I had for the linebacker room. You had an aging C.J. Mosley who was actively trying to change his body type to fit this defensive scheme. You also had nobody in the linebacker room. The only things that you had as a weapon were two guys that were safeties converted down to linebacker, and a linebacker that we went and signed off of somebody's, like, they just got cut in Quincy Williams. You got both of those guys in Quincy Williams and C.J. Mosley to perform at career levels. C.J. Mosley had a career year with over 100 tackles, and Quincy Williams as well had over 100 tackles. They were one of 8 pairs of linebackers to have over 100 tackles, which is absolutely insane. But what's the excuse this year? Your linebackers are performing absolutely abysmally as long as they're not named Quan Alexander. But we went out and we brought you 2 new shiny toys that can play the linebacker position at a relatively high level and that are familiar with this scheme. And this linebacker room is still performing abysmally. What happened to CJ, and why aren't you coaching him better to get him to perform at a better level? And if he's not going to do it, where's Jamin? Where's Marcel Harris? Where's Quincy? Why is he still on the field? It can't be because of his contract. We've got to get good linebacker play. You bring in Quan, he's playing great. But Marcel Harris is a negligible player. He's not bringing any net positive or net negative. I'll give him credit there. But why aren't we seeing Jamin Sherwood? Where has Hamza Nasruddin been except for special teams? What is this linebacker room doing? And why is it such a liability in the pass game? Mike Rutenberg, I love you, and you are still my favorite to take over for Jeff Ulbrich if he does get fired. But you got to step up your game. Your seat is starting to get a little bit hot. And last but not least, the coach for me who has the hottest seat of all of these coaches, in my opinion, is defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton. Last year, he was given a relatively bad defensive line unit. We tried to give him some new pieces, and he got that unit to perform badly. We were horrible against the run. We weren't sacking effectively. We weren't really accomplishing anything with the defensive line last year. Our pass rush was non-existent. Our run stopping was non-existent. The only shining spots on that team was Quinnen Williams and Jonathan Franklin Myers. And honestly speaking, how much of that is going to be given? How much of credit am I going to give Whitecotton for 2 of our best defensive line players performing well? Quinnen Williams is almost a player that transcends scheme and coaching. The guy's going to dominate no matter who's his defensive line coach. So what happened? And then you come into this year, and this year we revamped the defensive line room more than any room on this team. We go out and we sign 3 brand new players. Well, we signed 2 new players, and Lawson finally comes back from being healthy. And we go out and draft 2 shiny new rookies in Michael Clemens and Jermaine Johnson. And you're still failing to get the job done with this defensive line. Now, I'll give you credit. The run stop has been much, much better, and I'll give credit where credit is due. But why is it that a team that's sole focus on the defensive line is to create pressure isn't creating pressure? Why is it that the only objective for this defensive line is to get sacks isn't getting sacks? This D-line should be feasting. They should be eating. They should be annihilating offensive lines, especially with the depth that we have and how many pieces that we have, and they're failing to do so. Whitecotton, was Quinnen Williams right when he decided to yell at you? Was he showing us something or magnifying a problem that we don't know that's there yet? I don't know, but if this defensive line can't get going and going soon, Aaron Whitecon, your job might be on the line. Guys, let me know if you think there's any other coaches that's hot, seats might be hot. Is it too early to start judging these assistant coaches? I don't know. I want my team to perform well, especially when we have the players at those positions to perform well. And these three guys, in my opinion, aren't doing that. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And last but not least, go Jets.